Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice Radio. So today, I am showing you another Prism Star Stadium card, which is going to be coming out in Fairy Rise. Now, we've only had one Prism Star Stadium so far. It is Thunder Mountain. It is ridiculously good. And you know what? This one gives it a little bit of a run for its money. It is coming out in Fairy Rise, as are all of these cards we're looking at the moment, and I should mention that it has been revealed and translated by the lovely David Hochmann. As far as I'm concerned, the best Pokemon TCG translator in the world. Come at me, bro. Come at me. It is Life Forest Prism Star, and no, it is not just Forest of Giant Plants, although Forest of Giant Plants was redonk. This will help grass Pokemon though. What does it do? Once during each player's turn, that player may heal 60 damage and all special conditions from one of their grass Pokemon. While this card is in play, whenever your opponent plays a supporter or item card from their hand, prevent all effects of that card done to this card. So it's got the same rule as Thunder Mountain. It cannot be gotten rid of using item cards or supporter cards, which means they can play their own stadium and bump it. That's absolutely fine. They can use an attack to get rid of it, maybe this Remoraid from Breakthrough, though that would have to be in the expanded format, but they are not able to just play a Field Blower and discard it, or any other item or supporter card that might come out in the future. Now, it is a Prism Star card, which means you can only put one of these in your deck. It means when it hits the discard pile, it will go to the Lost Zone instead and will be gone forever. But the fact that it can't be Field Blowered away means that essentially there aren't many Pokemon out there that discard stadiums. So if you happen to play against a deck that isn't playing their own stadiums to bump it, you'll probably be able to keep this in play for the whole game. If you come across a deck that's only playing Field Blower, that's not going to work. Not every deck plays stadiums. And these Prism Star Stadiums, if you happen to be against a deck that doesn't play stadiums, it gets so much better. But let's look at what this one actually does. Once during your turn, heal 60 and all special conditions from one of your grass Pokemon. This is basically Pokemon Center Lady, by which I mean it's exactly Pokemon Center Lady, except it can only be used on your grass Pokemon, and it's not a supporter card. And Pokemon Center Lady saw a fair amount of play. Pokemon Center Lady was popped in a whole bunch of decks. It's very good healing. And this essentially does the same thing without having to use your supporter for the turn. As far as I'm concerned, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty awesome. Now, there are some dumb things you can do with this. One of my favourite combos with this is Heracross from Burning Shadows. If it would be knocked out by damagement attack, flip a coin. If heads, it's not knocked out. Its remaining HP becomes 10. And then you can put it back up to 70 and stop your opponent doing something like KOing it just with poison the following turn. It's not the greatest use for it, but it's one that amuses me. But the fact of the matter is, grass Pokemon are starting to become better and better. You've got Lycanroc and the lesser played Lapras, both of which are good cards that are weak to grass, giving us some incentive to play it. But we've got Golisopod GX. This has been played for a while and has seen a fair amount of play. And the fact of the matter is that Golisopod GX has got 210 HP. That's a lot. It's not often one-hit KO'd. And obviously it's often used with stuff like Ace Roller to heal. But what you may very well end up seeing is a Golisopod against something like a Buzzwole, and a Buzzwole using a Diancie Prism Star to do 50 damage to it, to essentially soften it up for future turns. Well, all of a sudden, in comes this, and you're good to go. Or maybe your opponent wants to try and stop you using Armor Press, for argument's sake. So they might want to confuse you. Maybe they use an Espeon GX, for instance. Confusion plus 30 damage. Well, you heal the damage, and even if they use a Choice Band to do 60 in Confusion, you'll heal all of that, while also getting rid of the confusion. It's not going to stop people one-hit KOing your grass Pokemon, but it is going to stop a lot of other tactics here. It's going to stop them softening you up, putting you down to 160 HP where they can get a better KO, because you're just going to heal immediately. It's going to stop them trying to slow you down with special conditions. If, for argument's sake, something like a Froakie comes along in the future and tries to use Bubble to stall you out of the game, this stadium is going to make sure that they are unable to do that. I mean, look, Rough Seas was a great stadium that saw a lot of play. It healed 30 damage from each of your water and lightning Pokemon during your turn. Well, this heals twice as much and gets rid of special conditions. Now you can only play one in your deck rather than 4, and it's only from one of your Pokemon, not from all of them. But if we're willing to play a stadium card to heal 30 damage, then surely we're willing to play a stadium card to heal 60 in all special conditions. The fact that Rough Seas was great, and the fact that Pokemon Center Lady was great, and this is arguably better than both of them, because it can be used multiple times unlike Pokemon Center Lady, and it heals more than Rough Seas, means that it's going to see play. And it's one of those cards, if you're ever playing grass Pokemon in any meaningful sense, you have got to put this in your deck as a one-off. Let's say you're playing the new Vespiquen. Alright, the new Vespiquen isn't exactly the best card ever, because it's only got 120 HP. So a lot of the time, you're not going to need to heal, because your opponent's either going to be KOing you or they're not going to be attacking. But again, there's plenty of Pokemon out there like Buzzwole that are going to be doing 50 damage. Well, that's not enough. Maybe they do 30 to you when you're on the bench, then they do another 30 to you when you're on the bench, then you heal that 60 off, using this particular stadium, Life Forest Prism Star. Bit of a mouthful, to be perfectly honest. And then, of course, we look at Sceptile. Now, we spent quite a lot of yesterday looking at Sceptile. We did one video on the new Grovyle, and we did a video on Sceptile GX. And I said about both of these cards, they're super, super good. Grovyle's got the same ability as the old Gabite, whereby you can search for one grass Pokemon, and I talked about the fact you can chain it. So essentially, your first Grovyle finds you your second finds you your third finds you your fourth, and then the next turn, each Grovyle finds its own Sceptile, and you're just rolling. Well, essentially here, if you're playing Sceptile, this card becomes amazing, because now not only have you got 230 HP, but you're healing 60 damage a turn, and essentially special conditions mean nothing to you. I talked about using Sceptile like we played Gardevoir back at the London International Championships, doing a bit of damage because it does 60 and discards a special energy attached to your opponent's active, and then healing off with Max Potion. But here, as long as your opponent isn't doing that much damage, you don't actually need to heal off all that much, because you can heal 60 a turn using the stadium. So as long as your opponent's not doing a hideous amount of damage, you're going to be able to get away some turns without having to have an ace roller, without having to have that Max Potion, because you're going to be able to cover it with this stadium. It's not something you can rely on turn after turn. It's going to run out. It's going to be gotten rid of in most games. But like I said, you will find games where your opponent isn't playing any counter stadiums. And if they're not playing any counter stadiums, this will stay there for the game. Some decks, like Vespiquen, fine. You've not really got enough HP, it's not going to do too much. But we've already talked about how Sceptile gets a massive advantage from Grovyle. We've already talked about the fact that it does good damage for little energy, and the fact that it's going to need to heal and all of that. We've talked about the fact that it's genuinely viable, and then we've got the Sceptile from Celestial Storm that essentially gives your Pokemon immunity to Ultra Beast if there's a grass energy attached. And what we have here is just one more trick. It's a Prism Star. It's never going to make a deck all on its own. Although you could argue Solgaleo Prism Star gave it a pretty good go. But what it is going to do is give a massive advantage to any grass deck. And regular viewers will know where I'm going with this. It's a 5 Wossie card. My idea of a 5 Wossie card is a card that I expect to see a lot of play in a lot of different decks. And the fact of the matter is, it's a stadium, it's one card in your deck. Who's playing a grass deck and not chucking this in as one of their 60 cards? Who's giving up the opportunity to heal 60 damage and get rid of special conditions? Best case scenario, your opponent doesn't play any counter stadiums, it stays there for the whole game. Worst case scenario, you get a Pokemon Center Lady without using your supporter for the turn. As far as I'm concerned, this is a flat out great card. But I want to know from you guys. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice, tell me what grass decks you want to use this with. And of course, make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves. Until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.